Hello, it's a lovely day again to all of us, and it's a particular pleasure to be with you on the set, the studio of the Nigerian Television Authority, and of course the set of Weekend Deal. Now I want to take you a little bit back when we were all men were boys and ladies were girls. Did you try to play tempe tempe? You know that dance? Yes. All of us did it. And there's another one. You hold one leg and you hop like this within square. Yes, we all did it. You know, and getting these things done were not done in the bedroom, in the sitting room. They were always done outside. At first, I thought it was just a play, but later on I got to find out that with all of that play, there was something to learn. Basically, when we played such plays, there were always adults to watch. And when they watch, if we do the wrong things, they correct you on the spot. Today, our game, our play are all on the device. You know what I mean? PS this, PS that. All in the sitting room. And whoever you're playing with there, your parents do not know. At the end of the day, we complain the children are spoiled. I say it again, he who brings in ant-infested faggot should not complain at the visit of a lizard. Yesterday, I was actually taking a walk, and it was along the, not within city really. And I noticed a young woman who had an L on her car. Obviously, learner driver. The road wasn't that busy. But the next thing, I wasn't expecting that, but it really happened. Someone who was doing car race drove past her with a lot of noise. She was, she was shaken and almost ran herself off the street. Luckily nothing happened to her, but it got me thinking, why are we like that? Why are we having car race within the city? Incidentally, it was a very young person. I'm not sure the person who was driving that car was up to 21, 22. And I asked a question, does he have a mom? Does he have a dad? How did he get that car? Anyway, that's still the moral decadence. And I know that Francis will take it away from there and he'll put us in the right mood for today's discussion. Let's join him.
Before the colonial era, the common characteristics of the Nigerian society was the existence of norms that were pivotal to the running of the society. However, in recent times, all the prohibitions that aided the maintenance of high moral and disciplined society have been neglected and abandoned due to the influence of Western culture, mainly brought about by colonial invasion.
When we talk about morals, we're talking about rules and regulations guiding us, what we should do, what we should not do. And in most cases, they may not be written, but over the years, they've been passed down to people. But as we kept passing it and we keep passing it, okay, we have lost some things over time. And because the world has actually finally become a global village, a friend of mine said it's not actually a global village, it's a global room. So whether you like it or not, you have imported and you have imbibed cultures of other people that are alien to you, that are actually not okay for you. But one way or the other, you are there. And sometimes when you are embracing this, you don't even know you have embraced it. But when you start seeing the consequences, you know, oh, something has happened. The blame we have to be put at the doorstep of almost everybody in our country. Because what is wrong is being promoted. So over time, children will think that is what is right. So it's one of the challenges. So government has not done right. Citizens have not done right. I'm talking of leadership and the followership.
Despite the positive uses of social media in areas of research and communication, immoral practices are also learned from the internet, such as cultism, drug abuse, underage prostitution, and Yahoo+.
Find it difficult, even if you are not going to give your child a phone until a particular age. There are others who believe that you can give a child who is even 4, who is even 5, a phone, and that they will not meet in the estate, they will meet in church, they will meet when you go to pray on Friday, they will meet in school. So even the one that has not been given a phone, okay, will be influenced by the one that has been given the phone. Sometimes when you see boys, you guess, they will just cluster together, they are together. Go and check, what are they doing? It's a phone. They're watching one thing or the other one. So whether we like it or not, social media has its own advantages, but loads of disadvantages. It's even difficult to fix a particular age. And if you tell people now, let's make it 18, they say, you are archaic, you are old school. But I tell you, for me, I would have said 16 years old.
Moral decadence has replaced core moral values in present times, and this ravaging phenomenon is the cause of some of the major problems currently being faced in the country.
Teachers have talked and talked, and they have even disciplined some children, and the parent had gone there, okay, to disgrace the teachers. So some teachers have taken it that those who are ready, you follow me, those who are not ready to follow me, no problem. So it's one of the consequences. Then when they fail, another consequence, some parents are ready to buy results. So that is another consequence. Then you also have underage driving the parents' car. They do car race and what have you. It's part of the consequences, and they die or they kill other people. It's part of it. Now, other consequences we also have to do with the issue of you see, whatever you see on social media, on TV and radio, on TV, you think it's just like that. So a child who is like 13, who is like 14, has gone out to look for how to make money, and they say get the head of a baby or get the arm of an adult or a woman. These are consequences. So it's consequences of what we have not done right over the years.
If something is not done to curb these vices, the chances are that society will pay dearly for it, as is already seen in the level of crimes and criminality among young people.
You can use the media, you can use public relations to cause any change you want if you are ready. So it means you can still use public relations, you can still use promotion, you can use advertising, jingles on TV and radio to change the way people think, to change what people will do. Let's do reorientation. Let's tell our students now, let's tell our teachers now, let's tell our educators now, let's tell our religious leaders now what is right, what is wrong as a nation, to change this thing, to tell people how to greet people, to tell people what it means to get to work on time, to tell people not to close on it is the right time, to tell people that when a customer stands before you, is the king, you drop your phone and you listen to him. To tell parents that, you see, don't take care of your child alone. The child in the other flat, the child in the other place, when he's doing something wrong, you can tell the parents. We're doing all of this before, but we stopped somewhere and we're not doing it again. These are the things we have to do.
The value system of any human society determines the level of its development. Therefore, our focus on Weekend Deal today will be on moral decadence in Nigeria, an emergency.
Weekend Deal. Take care of your children alone. Extend the care to the next child. It's just like you're trying to eradicate mosquitoes from your environment and you keep treating your room. The next door has mosquitoes, rodents, and all of that. You don't bother about them. You get that done in the morning, in the evening. They all come back to you. So sanitize your environment, your children, and sanitize other people's children. That's how it is. And talking about sanitizing, do you actually pay attention to what they see from the TV? A lot of times people say that children learn a whole lot from the social media, the mainstream television, and all of that. Do we pay attention to the influence of the mainstream media? I'm not saying this because I'm in NTA, but it's actually a bragging right for me, working here, because I know that NTA at all times censors its packages because we are aware that children are watching. But then ETV, not ETV now, the Lagos Network Center, NTA there, took time to find out the impact of the mainstream TV on the children. Still from Lagos, in time to come, we'll be bringing you a special guest. He is a Royal Majesty, but let me leave it at that for now.
The concept of morality appears very elusive to many. Morality involves a more articulated set of beliefs about the nature and conduct of man. Moral degeneration is a universal phenomenon which is negatively affecting the Nigerian society, with specific reference to family, school, and public life.
The families are the production family factory. They're the ones that actually bring all these people to life. When you talk about moral decadence, a child does not just appear on earth or appear in a society. They are born from a family. How much work is done by the parents in that family? So those families need training, they need development, they need orientation, because a lot of people are having children and they don't have any idea what to do with them. A lot of families don't even have family values. A lot of us don't even know what national values are as a society. So anything that is not managed, anything that's not controlled is subject to abuse, and that's why we see what we see today.
Sadly, moral decadence has eaten deep into the moral fabrics of the society, and the result is what we are witnessing today, including our educational institutions.
Many are called to be parents, some are not, and that is unfortunate. However, every child that is born deserves the right to be protected. And so with this decadence and this narrative that we're all talking about now, it's the accumulation of many things.
Nigeria is a very good case study for moral decadence. You see parents that are absent, you see parents that are supposedly very busy, you see situations where domestic workers, house help drivers are the ones taking over. So you find a lot of art are not clean, the content is not clean, children are engaged on social media, even regular media, all sorts of programs, the music they listen to, the kind of friends that they have.
With specific reference to the case of a 10-year-old student's involvement in illicit sexual behavior, which led to the shutdown of the school by the Lagos state government. The school was, however, reopened. The government stated that while investigations into the matter continues, it seeks to ensure students of the school are not denied access to learning.
It's an expected behavior. People are acting surprised, and they're being pretentious. These things are happening. Even children younger than that are engaging in sexual activities. So we should not pretend not to know. These are happening. These will continue to happen until we begin to wake up as a society. We begin to demand consequences for actions when it comes to parents and caregivers.
It is only effective collaboration between the school and the home that can bring out a morally rich child.
We need to stop seeing school and home as two ends of the spectrum. School owners need to move closer to the center and parents need to move closer. Why? Because we need each other.
The role of parents and the school in theory is to collaborate in the best interest of the child, to work together to make sure that we bring up a total and whole child. That is supposed to be the role. However, when you have that there's a friction and there's no sync with the parents and the schools, then you begin to find out that there are issues. So as long as you continue to have those sort of misplaced values, then it is what it is and it will get worse.
The need for a guidance and counselor in schools has become most necessary.
Funny enough, a lot of these schools have GNC. They have this guidance and counselors, especially the secondary schools. They do have them, but what is the function of the guidance and counselors? A lot of them is just degree on paper, because you know there's a lot of examination malpractice. They don't even know what their role is supposed to be. So you find that they're not at liberty to express themselves and to work in the way that, in the capacity in which they are supposed to do their jobs, because they are being dictated to by leadership, or even the parents and the PTAs and all those sort of things. They have an integral role.
A resetting of the moral compass and a return to the godly behavior and upbringing of the children is paramount. Since children are a reflection of the society they live in, it therefore shows that a concerted effort is needed for a proper upbringing.
Okay, that's from the Lagos Network Center station there. And I told you right after that we'll be staying on them to bring you a special guest, someone who is a community leader, a father to a large community. He is the Oloni of Eti Onu, Osun State, and he is His Royal Majesty Oba Dokun Thomas. Kabiesi.
It's Thompson.
Okay, I would want to start by saying thank you for coming all the way to join us, and specifically ask you, from where I come from, and I know it also happens in every part of Nigeria, indeed Africa, when a child is born, everybody rejoices, because it's not just the child of the mother or the father, biological parents. It is a child of all, meaning that we all contribute to the child's growth positively. We all contribute by punishing, correcting, reporting if it's possible. That was then, really. Now children are locked up. Big walls are built, between the parents. How do we begin to bring down these, walls, so that the children can still reach out to biological parents, community parents, godparents, whatever it is, for positive development?
Thank you very much. That's quite an intensive and question. But before I start, today happens to be Mother's Day in the States, and my wife being American, I want to wish all mothers a happy Mother's Day. And this is in relation to that question you asked about giving birth to a child. How do you groom them? How do you begin to break walls so that we can return back to the family unit? That question actually brings back a lot of memories. I remember when we were very young, and generally children being naughty, we were at some point naughty. And our mother reported us to our grandmother, who now came one day seriously speaking to us. What she said then was, "Do you know the meaning of obedience?" We were looking at her and thinking, what did she mean by that? She said the word obedience was derived from a Yoruba statement meaning obi diesin. In other words, your parents have become a deity. Your parents are to be honored and to be revered. So we're in a situation whereby we're losing our values, we're losing our customs, and as a community of people who are actually deep into their culture and to their customs and even into their family, we need to start returning to that. But mind you, we know that culture is not static. Culture is dynamic, it's supposed to evolve. And the traditional institution has also found itself in a situation whereby they need to begin to redefine itself. Because in the past, the traditional institution was government. It had the authority. But today, the traditional institution, even though being just ceremonial, still upholds certain values and culture and customs. And that is exactly what we're trying to transmit to the family units, to the community, so that reverence to your parents, to those who are older than you, can return into our society. And it's not just about the school environment, it's not just about even the friends you keep, but we have a lot to do when it comes to what our children, what the community as a whole consumes in terms of entertainment. Earlier on, we saw the program talking about music, talking about things like that. There are issues around this sort of programs we watch, not just on social media, but even mainstream media or even in the cinemas, to do with different kinds of content that is either upholding a nation, upholding a community, or sending the wrong signals to the people, to the children, to the youths, so that when they have an icon, when they have aspirations, they can be inspired to aspire to become someone that is a true icon in the society, either locally, nationally, or even globally.
A lot of times, people have blamed the decadence in the society to some traditional stool, and if they take it down the lane, they tell you it's because people acquire wealth, and they don't ask them how they acquire this wealth. They just give them traditional title. They recognize them just because they have money and have done one thing or the other. Now, the younger ones begin to see this, and they feel, okay, that's the way to go. What's your take on this, sir?
Issues around how people are rewarded, and that has to change. And that's why even for us, at Etioni, we have the oldest cocoa plantation in the country. We run several initiatives, several programs, and the Cocoa Festival, the Eco Chocolate Show, the Nigerian Cocoa Awards. It is to show people how people can be recognized, people can be appreciated, people can be rewarded. And it is through a collective decision of recognizing people that have actually put in the work, not because they've contributed some little money or whatever to you, but because they've actually provided selfless service to a global picture. I mean, if you look at cocoa, for instance, cocoa is our biggest export product, non-oil export product in Nigeria, which means there's a lot of value in it. We need to begin to understand how to create value, how to value our own, even no matter how little or insignificant it may seem. When we define things for the purpose of creating value that is recognized and appreciated globally, not just locally, these things begin to change. And as I said earlier on, the traditional institution is in a jam somewhere. It's at a point whereby it's struggling to redefine itself, because in the past, the traditional institution was government, it was the authority. But today, people are not even afraid of consequences, because when people take actions, there are no consequences for them. So, and when these youngsters see that there are no consequences, what they do eventually is to say, oh, we'll try our luck as well. And no matter what it is, we may get away with it from whatever we do, just like this other person that has been rewarded has gotten away with it. So it's not just about the traditional institution. The traditional institution encompasses everything. It encompasses our customs, our way of life, our what we cherish, what we value, and our traditions, our cultures, everything. So, and that includes governance, whether it's democratic or whatever. It is still the entire global picture we have to look at to see how we can begin to work together to streamline this situation and begin to let people know what is of value. When we were growing old, it was an abomination to associate with someone who's has a relative, not even the person, has a relative who has been jailed for criminal activities. All these were values that we upheld. All these were values that we cherished. And my father will come back and say he worked within the federal government service for several years. There was no time anything of staying was recorded against him, it was pride, it was honor for them. And that has to be returned. You know, I'm not talking about us going back into archaic traditions, but I'm talking about us upholding things that built our value systems, things that built the family units, values and virtues that we saw and we loved and we embraced. We need to embrace it. I know there's a lot of push from also the global community, because things are not just falling in Nigeria or in Africa. It's also happening across the world. And the decadence is incredible. So all these issues are things that we need to revisit, and we need to slowly start trying to see how we can begin to bridge that gap and redefine our purpose, redefine what value is in Africa.
Very much, Kabies here, and I will still be, continuing this discussion, especially from the punishment and award angle. We have been looking at it, but briefly, let's go to Enugu and look at something put together on how the roles of the traditional rulers.
There are some young people that look at celebrities, artists, comedians, and some successful people in the society, and they see them as their role model.
Nigeria is a multi-ethnic society with a value system that is derived from the diversity of its people, religion, and culture. But all this seems to have been lost as a result of moral decadence in our society that has affected the lives, well-being, security, and development of the people. The question is, do we still have role models in our society?
Nowadays, people care more about footballers. We can take certain characters, very important characters in our own society, and study them. Because character is a very important aspect of life. If we can get to know them, I think that will be also very useful.
These kind of people, if they can be able to avail themselves in schools, discuss in radios and televisions, telling people what to do and how to do, or sometimes even making videos of these people, showing it to the generality of the people, they will also help in that respect. So I believed mentorship should come in this respect. Somebody can mentor children, can mentor the whole of a school. These are all role models, can be able to go there and mentor.
How then can we sanitize our society that is decaying due to moral decadence?
Names are written in gold. If you earn a good name, it lasts forever. But material things doesn't last forever. So in view of this, I will urge our youths to embark, see those role models who have positively contributed to their communities, to their countries, and globally. If we imbibe the culture from those role models, definitely the sky is our limit.
The parental influence, mother, father, and so on, the home is the first place where these things can be corrected, the home. If the setting in the home is bad, then obviously there's not much you can do. In the past, of course, even your neighbor has a responsibility for the kind of correcting you have children and so on if things go wrong. The third one is perhaps if you are a student or whatever it is, the institution or in a workplace where you study and so on, that is your third place where they also take care.
For change to come, every citizen of the country must become a change agent, regardless of where they find themselves.
Yes, that was from NTA Maduguri on role model. A question they asked, do we have enough? And permit me to give you the answer, it is yes, because you on your own, your role model. for someone else. If you're the firstborn in a home and you're just 5 years old, there's another one coming in. That one is 2 years old. That one is going to be looking up to you. So you ensure that even though you're 5 years old, you're also being, treating your younger one well and modeling correctly. Everyone is a role model, but let's model well. And the traditional rulers are our biggest role model. And you still have the traditional ruler in Lagos. He'll still be speaking to us. But then I did promise that I'm going to bring in your counterparts in Enugu. So let's join Enugu quickly and get to find out the roles of the traditional rulers in the society.
No week passes these days without our being inundated with news of violence, ritual killings, cultism, cyber crimes, perversions, malpractice, and all forms of immoral and criminal activities, especially among the youths. Year after year, our nation has experienced deterioration in our moral values. Moral decadence is fast becoming a ravaging phenomenon to the extent that brings tears to the eyes. And anyone who is concerned about our today and our future is tempted to ask, what happened to us? Are we ready for this generation, or are we caught napping?
Because of struggle for sustaining the family, at a time, a man looks away. A man looks away and the daughter comes back with a car, and he didn't ask the daughter, what are you doing? Who gave you a car? The son comes back with a car. How did you get it? No. Rather, the man turns and carries drink and begins to celebrate that the child bought a car.
We are so engaged in businesses, doing one thing or the other, coming home late, without even checking who our children go out with.
Stakeholders say there is the need to rekindle our hope of raising balanced children who will grow into individuals with character, integrity, and high moral standard. Another set of important personalities on our road to moral restoration are the traditional rulers. Apart from being custodians of people's culture, traditional rulers play important roles in upholding their community's tradition, moral values, and norms. In addition, the Igwes, as they are called in Enugu State, southeast Nigeria, are also saddled with the responsibility of supervising and ensuring that members of the community observe the customary laws. They further use traditional means to punish bad behaviors and encourage high moral standards.
You have constitution of the community, and if you don't comply with the standard available, you can be told not to take part. You may not be given land in that is community land and so on. And of course, if it is criminal, then you are taken to police.
In my own community, for instance, rape is a taboo. Beating women is a taboo. You don't do certain things. The custom frowns at it, and we have rules that prevent children from learning that.
The need for moral reawakening has become vital, and urgent steps need to be taken. All stakeholders must work in synergy to save both this generation and, by extension, the next generation.
All right, that's from Enugu, the role of traditional rulers. And speaking of which, we have one with us in our network studio in Lagos, the Oloni of Etioni, Osun State, Oba Dotun Thompson, and Kabesio, Papa. Now, when we took the package from Meduguri on role models, some people wrote in, and I want to pick one particular question and let you treat that right away. He says, traditional rulers have been accused of living flamboyant lifestyle which has adversely affected young people's behavior. Could this be due to the monetized recruitment system of the traditional institution? And this writer didn't give his name. But let's let you answer him.
Interesting question, because it's like a situation whereby you're between the devil and the deep blue sea or red sea or whatever. The traditional ruler is expected to show color. It's expected to a certain extent to display splendor in terms of our culture. And our culture is actually very flamboyant. But what it is that the wrong message may be transmitted because certain things are not well defined. Every time, because of the side shows around, when people are talking about or pointing fingers from the negative angle, it is not necessarily because the traditional ruler is projecting something negative. He's trying to project color, he's trying to project positivity. But there is an underlying issue that we need to resolve, and that has to do with these moral issues and the celebration of the wrong elements in the society. On our own right, as traditional rulers, myself and my wife, we founded the Royal Cocoa International Film Festivals. And the main purpose of that was actually to showcase films of purpose, films that have a positive impact in our society. Yes, they may not be seen to be interesting, but slowly, when people start embracing things like this, and people who are into positivity in the society are beginning to be showcased as icons or as role models, then slowly things will begin to change. As you said earlier on, everybody is a change agent. And we, in our own rights, as traditional rulers, have that role. Yes, we are pointed at as the beacon of hope, as sitting on that pinnacle to decide where the society goes. But mind you, there's only so much a traditional ruler can do without the authority to even reprimand or create situations whereby elements that are doing what's wrong can be deterred, because the system of governance in Nigeria does not empower a traditional ruler to do certain things. It's only the government that can do it. The police is not under the traditional ruler. The courts are not under the traditional ruler. Yes, there's a customary court, but the traditional ruler can only go as far as he is allowed to go based on the government we have, or the governing structure that exists in the country today.
Now, Oba, recently I read a story on the dethroned beauty queen for bad behavior. I felt, bad for her character, and of course I felt elated that that action was taken because she is a role model. Now, in our society, we often give, awards, traditional titles to people for one thing or the other they've done. When these same people begin to, behave badly, is it not possible for us to remove that, tusk or crown or whatever it is we give to them as a traditional title, as a way of punishing them? That way we instill, fear on the younger ones. You know what I mean? I'm talking about punishment, and I know your stool as a traditional ruler has the power to do that.
There are two ways, and what we have to understand is this thing. There's a Yoruba saying that Omo le buru to ton kagbe fun ekunje. In other words, no matter how bad your child is, it is not, no matter how bad that child is, that does not mean that you would hand over that child to a lion to feed on. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to say we're looking at ways of correcting situations, because the child that is bad today can be the best tomorrow. And this is where understanding comes in. This is where everybody has to come to play and bring in their own experience on board to try and resolve this issue that we're facing in the country at the moment. It's become epidemic. The last cover in Delta was focused on sexual morality, criminal ones, and it had to do with the youths. When we were growing up, I'll keep on going back to when we were growing up, we had teachers that we respected. Our parents also respected these teachers. But today, if a teacher corrects some children, it's those parents who would end up looking for how some teachers can even be removed from office. So the parents also have a lot to do in these regards. So when you punish, if the punishment has no meaning, it means you've lost an opportunity to correct the situation. So it's not about punishing to break, it's about punishing to straighten, because a lot of situations come up or arise whereby you're using opportunities. You have these opportunities to correct situations and use it as an example on how to move forward. That's why some constitutions are based on precedents. So it's how they handle a situation today, it's how they will handle it tomorrow, because they cannot expect that have this idea that in the next 100 years, this, and this is what is expected to happen. And that's unfortunate with the Nigerian constitution is based on preconception. But the traditional institution is based on experience and going forward. So it looks for ways of laying down examples to address issues like this for the future. And talking about removing titles, talking about removing or decrowning or dethroning anyone. Even when we look at our situation in the country, it is also very impossible, almost impossible, to call back a member of the Senate or House of Reps or House of Assembly, not to talk of impeaching a governor or even the presidency. So at the end of the day, we need to have a rethink. We need to have a renewal of our thought processes on how we correct situations.
What, as a father, as a community leader, as a society role model, will be your advice on ensuring that the children of today become better leaders of tomorrow? The children of today become such children that when they see evil being done, they will not just look away, they will report and ensure that there's redress for it.
I want to believe that I turned out right. I want to believe that every sibling I have turned out right. And what I mean by that is to take it back from where I was groomed, where I was taught. And I remember the words of my father saying to us, a good name is better than silver or gold. That is where we have to start from. We need to begin to promote what a good name means. A good name will remain and stand the test of time. It is not like riches or what you call physical riches or gold or silver. It is what would open doors. It is what will actually build people's future and build people's career. People have been told or heard of stories whereby you just mention your name and they refer to your father, and because of that, that gets you a job. So it's not about you driving this car or wearing these or this jewelry or this sort of label that opens doors for you or that builds a future for you. It is that good name. And children need to start to understand this. Parents need to start letting their children know that they have to understand that. And they also need to let their children know that they need to be honored. You know, the last piece you showed was about the clergy. The Bible says, honor your father and your mother so that your days will be long, so that your days will be blessed. The only way you can be blessed, irrespective of where you're coming from, is by honoring your parents. And parents, when they honor you, you need to respect them and you need to show them the way forward. You are their guiding light, and they're looking at you as for direction. They're looking at you, watching you, they're listening to you, and they're wondering, even if they're not asking, if they're not saying anything, they're listening quietly to pick up or pick on whatever you say, whatever you do, to make them steps forward. And yes, we know the parents are in a situation whereby everybody's looking for money. The world is not easy economically right now, not to talk of the country, but there is that little quality time that we need to spend with these children to know that the future is only guaranteed by a good name. So it's not about making sensation. It's not about creating sensation or headlines. It's about making history. It's about building a legacy.
Thank you. I felt like sitting down listening more because as you spoke, it went through real down my brain and assured me that if I continue the way we are doing, that we'll all get our children right. And on that note, I must say a big thank you to you. Somebody actually wrote in here, said, Oba, thank you very much. I don't know your community, but I see you as a very humble Oba. Thank you very much. I must read that out for you to hear. And we're speaking with the Oloni of Etioni in Osun State, Oba Dutton Thompson. And I say a very big thank you for that.
Living icons like Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala of the World Trade Organization, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina of the African Development Bank, Ajia Amina Mohammed of the United Nations, and Alhaji Aliko Dangote of the Dangote Group, to mention but a few, all had a childhood upbringing like everyone. What they have, however, turned out to be today, no doubt, is largely due to good parental upbringing and imbibing of positive moral values. The sanctity of upholding moral standard to mold characters and in societal development can therefore not be overemphasized.
Socialization process starts from the homes, not necessarily from point of view of what the mother says to the child, what the father says to the child, but what the child sees the father and mother do. They are already forming a worldview. The psychologists will tell you at the age of 7, a child has attained what you call concrete operational stage in life. So whatever you do after age 7 is just like having laid the foundation. You're not adding other things. Having established a skeleton, you're not fleshing up.
In recent times, our society has witnessed deterioration in its moral and social values, especially among the younger generations, an anomaly traceable to the influence mostly foreign to our cultural ethos and beliefs, being fueled by unwholesome contents from mainstream media, particularly the television and the social media.
Your child might not have gone to Japan, might not have gone to America, might not have gone to China or Russia or whatever. But those societies come to your child right inside the bedroom. Through where? Through the media. And it's to this extent, beyond what the parents teach, the media has over 75% of influence on what the child picks. Because right under your nose, it goes beyond, my son, don't do this, my son, don't watch that, my son, don't mingle with so and so people. Within the confines of your home, under your nose, without you knowing it, your child is mingling with those don't go areas.
In modern day parenting, it is increasingly becoming difficult to raise children with good moral standard. This is as a result of the unrestricted exposure of these formative minds to several unsafe and unhealthy contents by the mainstream media that is subtly taking over and replacing the role of good parental values with immoral teachings without the parents being conscious of it. However, there are various age-appropriate guides and controls like the parental control and Google Family Link on Android devices to regulate the contents the young ones can access on most television networks and social media handles. How much do parents know about them?
It's not all parents that knows that there's a parental guide in all the social media outfits.
For now, I try to share the same phone with my daughter. That's my own measure of control.
How feasible is the monitoring and enforcement of the effective use of these guides and controls by the regulators?
In section 3.1.15 in the Nigerian Broadcasting Code that says the broadcaster shall clearly display on the electronic program guide, the EPG, classification symbols throughout the duration of the program. That is the law, and that law calls for enforcement. So if we see programs that are not in tune with this provision of the code, we call the station for questioning.
If moral decadence must be stemmed in our society, therefore, it requires the concerted efforts of all stakeholders to intentionally uphold our religious, cultural, and traditional values free from foreign negative influences.
Okay, nice one from Lagos. The influence of the mainstream media. It is important that we watch the right channels at the right time, and I assure you, watch NT anytime. You will not find that. We take our time. It's a bragging right. All right, that break I promised is here now. All right, a whole lot of times, emphasis is placed on role modeling. And we ask children a lot of times, who is your role model? Some say my mom, some say my dad, some call all other people they see on TV, some call people they read, and I'm sure that at one point or the other I may have been a role model to people. Did I do it well? I don't know. But then, do we even have enough? And what is the context of the recent days' role models? What influences the choice?
Every society needs men and women of exemplary character to serve as mentors or role models for members of the community, especially the youth. This is because the human brain is a model-creating and model-seeking biological machine. To act rationally and sanely, we need good models of the world around us, but very importantly, adequate examples of good conduct to model our behavior as social beings. That said, it is essential to have a good idea of the qualities we should cultivate through emulation.
And if you're a father and then you're not a proper role model, people, come, your son watch or your children watch you cheat people. Okay, is your daddy around? My dad is not around. My daddy said I should tell you he's not around. Remember, he's inside. You see how you start, influencing these young people very early enough. But if young people watch you as their father, you are a positive role model, an example to them. You are disciplined. You are in the studying at appropriate time. When you're supposed to pray, you pray. When you're supposed to, they see all of those things, and they see how you treat people in a generous manner, how you bless people, add value to other people, and they see you have respect for even the house girl or the house boy
or they watch you in the car, how you treat, public officers, you know what I mean, who represent government on the street, on the roads, the police, and all of that. They watch you the way you treat, so they learn a whole lot. That's where it starts from.
Parents try to be role models for their children by being good people. And from the perspective of a young child, there is a desire to be like the parents, older siblings, relatives, or famous people. And today, the social media stage is wide open for complete access to entertainment, which can affect anyone positively or negatively. It will appear that the number of genuine role models in the society is on the decline. That is why in Nigeria today, many people who ought to be in prison for nepotism, corruption, and other grievous offenses are celebrated in some quarters. Visibility plays an important part in making someone a role model. The most visible examples, like athletes, actors, or individuals for whom public visibility is part of the job. Since many people can observe these individuals' behaviors, it is likely people will imitate their behaviors and attitudes. While people of all ages may have role models, it is generally young people who are still developing their own identities who try so hard to emulate their role models. As much as it is admirable to want to be like someone, it is important to understand one's personal dream and purpose in life. Many eminent Nigerians parading themselves as voices of conscience on social media are often found to be living in direct opposite to their message of morality.
So somebody just says, because somebody has 1 million followers, then that's my role model. It's wrong. You want to first of all know his background or her background. What value does the person bring to the table? The value the person brings to the table, is it in a sustainable manner? Is it pro development of human beings? Is it adding value to society?
A lifestyle of ease, indulgent materialism prevalent among politicians and business elites in Nigeria cannot be the foundation of positive transformation. It follows that to be a genuine role model, one has to be courageous enough to challenge what is popular and trending and showcase timeless values.
Every young person listening to me today, I want to let you know that money is not the priority. That most people are in the political space today to run for elections because they think that if they run for election, they will grab plenty money, and they have seen it happen several times. That somebody who is not known from anywhere as a wealthy man, after 4 years of his holding political office, becomes wealthy.
For the sake of positive development, especially among the impressionable youth, Nigerian society should veer away from celebrating money and influence, but instead emphasize its upliftment of individuals who display extraordinary humility, integrity, compassion, and discipline.
The show is done, and I want to leave you, with the words of Christia Sen when she sang Omomi Shorere, because that's one of my favorite songs, and I want to dedicate it to women now. So let's sing it together, really. Okay? If you're with us, let's quickly say that. Shorere tiadara, Omomi Shorere tiadara, Omomi Shorere.